Coherence is what one foresees while stepping into a crime thriller, hoping that what feels disoriented now will be a complete puzzle as one reaches the penultimate sequences. But boy, did this movie turn that into a complete joke. Although enthralling for most of its former half, it had me raise my brows multiple times in the latter, not because of the intrigue it hit me with, but because I was questioning every absurd moves the makers made. Does this film carry forward the unprecedented gore its prequel did? Is this a depiction of a perfect crime or just an easy come story? Does the new cast thoroughly impress one? Well, let's talk about it all, so be sure to stick around till the end.
ये ऑन पेपर मर चुका है,
हाथ कट चुका है,
हाथ कट चुका है,
हाथ है।
So अब इसके अंदर हम we are on the run. He's supposed to be dead, but he's actually not dead. I'm trying to lead a weird life where I'm with him but not really with him on paper, and then
तुम पूरी कहानी बता दो। हाँ यार, मैं यही सोच रहा हूँ।
यार स्टार्टिंग बता रही हूँ यार सिर्फ।
Haseen Dilruba, a highly watched prequel of Phir Aayi Haseen Dilruba, introduced a story that thriller watchers would adore. A subtle setting, a triangular build-up, eerie relationships, and a bamboozling climax. As soon as the makers announced a sequel, I immediately put it under scrutiny, not knowing what to expect, the only possibility being a continual cat and mouse chase. But the premise most certainly did have more depth than I expected. Rani, a suspected criminal, and Rishu, a Delhi resident and Rani's husband, now officially declared dead, reside in Agra, hoping to escape from the never-ending suspicion of the cops, while they work at small places that pay them meager fee, hopefully enough to escape someday. Do they successfully flee, or do the cops find enough evidence, or Rishu himself, to turn the case around? And what does Abhimanyu, a compounder, and Rani's new neighbor have to do with anything at all, forms the basic premise of this movie. The biggest positive that this venture carries throughout has to be Sunny Kaushal and a seamless portrayal of Abhimanyu. Vikrant Massey, although a performer I truly adore, felt out of place with the most of it, and Taapsee doing what she was asked to, nevertheless good, was still not enough to get one to plow in. And that's exactly what Sunny helps with. His quality of being an untimely yet a devoted lover in all of the sequences where he tries to seek Rani's attention truly stood out. There's much more that you'll uncover with respect to his character once you've watched the venture. Another significant positive has to be the tonality and the intention reveals. A couple of dark themes explored and how they unwind as the screenplay progresses further truly adds some depth into an otherwise passable set of sequences. The interaction between individuals and their personal understanding of where they stand must truly be lauded, as the makers make sure that the audience are at par with what is being told or delivered. One thing that got me chuckling was the constant talk about Dinesh Pandit, the author, and how the ensemble cast somehow knew about him. I must agree, the inclusion of a common point was quite clever. With all of that being said, the film lacked what was required the most, and I'll use Callback here, which the film pretty perfectly failed to do: coherence, as mentioned at the beginning. The former half did set up emotions, intentions, and a comprehensible way with which the characters deal with their lows, but as it progressed to the latter, it was all banana town. Everything seems to come easy to the infamous couple. There are multiple passings, although none, or maybe one, but one's never sure hun. Oof! It was tiresome and not in an appreciable way. It was almost like the cops took a back seat and said, "Kar lo jo karna hai, hum part 3 mein aa jayenge, 2 saal purana case fir se reopen karne." Embarrassing how multiple opportunities were missed, and the city of Agra almost seemed like one with no surveillance cameras. Oh yes, there was one footage that was checked, and they were late with that too. I definitely had premeditated post watching the first installment that they'll try to level up a bit this time and might go a little bonkers as well. But this was just round the bend. Also, I genuinely believed after looking at the poster that the Crocodiles would have a symbolic presence, like the snake in Vijay Sethupath's Tara Maharaja. But boy, did I not expect it to end in a fist fight. Quite literally. Well, taking into consideration all of what I've stated about Phir Aayi Haseen Dilruba, it's absolutely not a passable venture, but just becomes underwhelming because of its deranged portrayal. Yes, might be fun for some time to leave aside the implausibility, but just becomes harder the farther you are with the film. All's well that ends well, I suppose. Or at least the makers do. Oh, also the inclusion of Jimmy Shergill and a personal connection genuinely made me think that he's going to up the level of the investigation and crack open the case. But all he did was reassure that he'll find the criminals on the run and failed miserably multiple times. If this was meant to be a satirical take on the police force, this was a masterclass of a movie.
Sailoring ain't got no cigarettes, but